Sorry for that. For some reason, my Wi-Fi service went out. But again, this mechanical cause, this universe requires a personal cause, a catalyst, a conscious being, free-willed being outside of the universe in order to start it. So again, this first cause, the creator, God, is an axiomatic truth. He's necessary. His existence and our existence necessitates his existence. Also, processes and systems are governed by rules and laws, again showing purpose, meaning that an outside force had a purpose for creating us. Because there are some who believe that the first cause may have created this universe, but it created it accidentally and created this world accidentally and left us out to dry. But the existence of laws and processes and systems prove otherwise. The existence of laws and processes proves the desire for this creator God for a designated outcome. So what does this design universe mean to us? Well, scientists tell us that our bodies are made up of stardust. Stars in the universe throughout the 14 billion years of this universe's existence, stars exploded or imploded, and their particles landed all over the universe, including on Earth. And those elements form the soil that we have currently. Our bodies are a combination of the earth and the soil, the earth and water of this earth, or the earth and water of this land that we are upon. As a byproduct of this universe, conscious man is a way of understanding of the universe, understanding itself. Since the stars exploded, and the particles from those stars are what our bodies are made of, and we are conscious beings, then we are a way in which the universe knows itself. But more importantly, we are a way to know our maker, know our creator. We are walking, talking, breathing, seeing, hearing, smelling, eating, thinking, and living mud, soil and water is what we are. Each and every one of us are miracles in motion. I wonder, do we understand that? Do we understand the value that God, the first cause, the innovator, the creator, has given us? Every single person is created with this value. We are all walking million miracles, all 7 billion of us, and 100 billion people who has walked on this earth throughout its history. How mud, how soil and water became alive and became animated is another talk within itself. The point here is that we exist. And we exist and we are distinctive from one another. Not two of us are identical. As I said, there have been over 100 billion people who has been on the face of this earth. Right now, there's over 7 billion people on this earth, and all of them are different. They have different faces, they have different voices, they have different fingerprints, and they have different personalities and different experiences. Is that a coincidence? Are we to believe that all of this is a coincidence? It isn't. Again, to me, it is personification of an absolute miracle, and again, proof of a creator. If we were to contemplate just for a moment that this world came into existence randomly and without a cause and without any purpose, but it was randomly created. Let's say, for example, an entire country, let's say Wakanda, right, was filled with all these metals, this vibranium, and then all of a sudden a tornado came and magically it hit this country and it turned all the metal into robots. What are the odds that every single robot All 100 billion who has ever existed and all 7 billion on the earth right now would be distinct from one another, would have different functions and abilities without a cause or without something, a catalyst, something making them all be different. It is highly improbable to the point of impossibility that 7 billion robots would have all distinctiveness. Again, these are mere examples of the necessity for God to be in existence. But again, that is what humanity is: living, thinking, breathing, mud, each with particular distinctions, and each with laws and systems and processes that affect us, that govern our lives. We have the system, the respiratory system, the circulatory system, our digestive system, our ecosystem, our solar system. Are we to believe that all of those things are by chance or random events, but all of which are applied to us and impact us in some way? All of them are systems designed, created to affect us purposefully and on purpose and for a reason. I see my brother Too High on here, right? Too High, I'm gonna give you and Flood some ammunition. One person I love to quote is the Professor Emeritus Noam Chomsky. He said that we are pre-programmed to form and articulate language. This man, first of all, is an atheist or an agnostic. So the first question I would ask him is, if we are pre-programmed, who programmed us? Programming denotes a programmer. You see, if we are pre-programmed to understand language, then there had to be someone or some being that programmed us. He said we are also pre-programmed to understand complex numbers. And he said none of these things, understanding complex language and complex numbers, are evolved. They are something that we were just born with and programmed into our system. But with language and with numbers, we are able to be creative and creatively describe the world around us and the world within us, and to contemplate our existence in this universe using this complex language and these complex numbers that we are pre-programmed with. Noam Chomsky also says that aesthetic beauty is pre-programmed into human beings. I want you to think about what that means. Again, pre-programming means that it was implemented into us. Programming, again, is a purpose. It is done, applied for a reason, which means an outside force, an intelligent, free-willed being had to pre-program us. This same being that created the entire universe. Again, God is undeniable. So he says the aesthetic beauty that we all share is something that is pre-programmed in us for us to be able to appreciate different colors and different variations of colors in creation. Again, using language, we can express our appreciation for beauty in plants, in animals, and in the stars, in the moon, and in the sky. This began to speak to the affinity that this first cause God has for his creation, the human being. Because he gives us the ability to understand love, to appreciate beauty, to express love within ourselves, and to be able to express it to outside beings and to even to the other parts of creation, whether it be plants or animals or what have you. But again, this common appreciation for God's creation is why you can go to any beach right now or any beach in the morning and you see people marvel over the sunrise. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that was a terrible sunrise. The sun coming up just looked horrible. So again, God has pre-programmed us to understand the beauty of his creation. Now, speaking of language and variation, in the Quran, there are several verses that speak to the variation in human beings and the variation in creation. This is one that I just wanted to articulate. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. It reads, "Wa min ayati khalqul samawati wal ardi wa ikhtilafu alsinatikum wa wal alwanikum inna fi dhalikal ayatil alimin." In English, it means, or it is translated, "And among his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the variations in your languages and your colors. Verily, in that are signs for those who know." So, God has given us, which within each of us, an appreciation for different colors, different creeds. Allah says in the Quran that he has created us in different tribes so that we may know one another. We can appreciate one another. This is the reason that we have different colors, different variations in languages. Not so that we can say we are better than another person, but to know and understand one another. And the last thing I want to mention about this man, Noam Chomsky, he says our morals are pre-programmed. I'm going to say one more time, pre-programming or programming period necessitates a programmer. Meaning we know right from wrong because of what is programmed inside of us. Assalamu alaikum, brother. We understand right from wrong from what is programmed inside of us by this first cause. And who better to give us the definition of right and wrong but our programmer, but our originator, but our evolver, but our fashioner, but our creator, who is an outside being that is not positively or negatively affected by any of our actions. So again, our comprehension of language, of numbers, of our aesthetic pleasures, and our morals are pre-programmed into us by God. And again, even we know this even in ourselves about morals. Within us is a conscience. We feel bad when we do something wrong. We feel good when we do something right. And our desire or our pursuit of justice, again, speaks to this consciousness that God has programmed into us. The Arabic word for that is fitra. It is a predisposition towards doing what is right, doing what is lawful, and finding a desire for justice and peace. But all of these things, when we use all of them, we should reflect on the Creator. The way we know the Creator, the way we know God is by understanding and by evaluating and researching his creation and his relation to that creation. So from that, we can deduce that this Creator has a predisposition towards righteousness. This is why he created us with an affinity, with a predisposition or a pursuit of righteousness. So he himself has a predisposition towards righteousness. He wants righteousness. He also has a predisposition towards beautification and beautifying creation. You see, this universe, or what we create, could just be one thing. We could just eat one kind of food and drink one kind of liquid. But that we have a variety means that we are supposed to appreciate it. And God has given us this variety for us to appreciate it and be grateful for what he has given us. Also, a God or this Creator has a predisposition towards diversity in creation. This is why he has made us diverse. And he has a predisposition towards communicating to his creation. This is why we are the only beings able to have this critical thinking, to have this language, to have this understanding of numbers and mathematics in order to understand this universe around us. Again, I told you all a couple weeks ago that God has communicated to us through what is inside of us and through everything outside of us. And he has articulated this, again, specifically in words he has given to us through messengers throughout history. And this message is the same message. It is that God is one, and everything that you do in this world, you will be held accountable for. I just want to touch on that a little bit because I said that we are walking, talking, thinking, breathing, smelling mud. The reason that this mud, the reason that this soil is animated is because of what is blown inside of us. That soul, that spirit. I know there are people talking about spirituality. How can you have spirituality if you don't know what God, the Creator, wants you to do, or the manner in which he wants you to behave? But the reason that this inanimate object is made to move, made to talk, made to think about our thinking, made to think about this universe and why it comes into existence. Human beings are the only beings that are able to do this. He has created us with the ability to do this. So what I want to articulate in this talk is that the most important thing is God and God consciousness. The word used in Arabic is taqwa. It means it is translated as God-fearing, of God-fearing, or God-loving, or righteousness, or God-consciousness. It means all those things. It means to be in awe of God, in awe of the power that could create this entire universe and sustain it for 14 billion years. And continue to sustain it. We should be in awe of that creator. We should be wanting to know what he has provided for us and what he wants for us. He has created each and every one of us on purpose and with a purpose. Each and every one of us has value. Each and every one of us are created with value from this Creator to be as righteous as we possibly can to make this world a better place than when we left it. Now, when I first started this talk, it's probably going to be split in two because there was an issue with the Wi-Fi. But I started with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which means with the name. Isma means name, but it also means attribute or description. So names should not just be something that you have arbitrarily. It should be something that describes you. So when it says Bismillah Rahman Rahim, I'm saying the name of Allah. He's merciful. He's compassionate. All of these words are names and descriptions of God. But throughout this talk, there are other names that have been illuminated. And in the Quran, as I said, there are at least 99 names. Now, I talked about a couple of weeks ago that in the continent of Africa, every country worshiped one God. And they had several names, several attributes for God. Now, I want to give you some of those that can be articulated from this talk that I just gave. And these are enumerated in this book, the Quran. This is the recitation that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam received over 23 years, and it was combined, that God gave him the words to say, to articulate. So these are some of the words, some of the names of God that we can give just from this small talk that I have given. One of those names is Al-Mubidi, meaning the innovator or creator of something new. The Al-Muhyi, meaning the giver of life. This is another name for God. What we hear all the time is Allah. Allah means the God, the one and only God. But there are tons of names for him. In this talk again, this is the third one, Al-Hayy, meaning the ever-living, meaning he has always lived. If he is the first cause, he never had a beginning. He has always existed. Another one is Al-Qadir, meaning the powerful, a being so powerful that he could create the universe from nothing, no things. There are people who believe that a human being is God. There is no human being who has ever existed who is able to create something from nothing, anything from nothing. They can't create this pen from nothing. They can't even get to a space where there is nothing. Because wherever you go, there is air, there is space, there is something that the Creator has created. So there is no human being who has ever been God. Also, human beings are limited in their size, in their space, in their knowledge, when God is completely unlimited. God is immortal. He cannot die. So when a human being dies, we know that person was not God. God is never in need of anything, not air, not water, not anything. So when that human being breathes, he is not God. When he drinks a glass of water or eats food or has a call of nature, anything, that is further proof that whoever that was is not God. Also, so I'm going to just go down the list of other names that we can extract from this small talk that I gave. Al-Thahir, meaning the manifest one. So there's another name for him, Al-Latif, meaning the gentle or the subtle. So he is manifest, meaning that when you understand the universe, you see his manifestation. His existence is obvious, but he is also subtle in that you can't see him, you can't hear him, you can't feel him, but you know he has to be in existence. Another one is Al-Awwal, meaning the first. Like I told you, scientists say he is the first cause, so he is the first being, right? As-Samad, meaning the eternal, meaning he has always existed and he always will exist. Al-Akhir, meaning the last. If he is the first, if he is the beginning of creation, he is also the last. He is the first and the last. There is nothing without him. The Aziz, meaning he has might and strength. Again, strength to maintain and sustain this universe. Al-Wahhab, meaning the giver of all. And Wahhab also means one who, that's another one. Wahhab means a giver of all. Al-Kareem, meaning he is the generous. He gives us more than what we need. As I said, we could just have a black and white image, but we have a 3D image and color because we are able to appreciate this universe that God has given us. Al-Wadud, meaning the loving one. So, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim is translated as merciful, as compassionate, as beneficent. He is also called the loving one. I know oftentimes you don't hear people talking about this, but they should be articulating that this God Allah that we believe in is compassionate, is merciful. He is the most merciful. He is the most compassionate. He is the most loving. So this is the reason why we worship him. We're not simply afraid of him because it is often articulated that Allah is similar to the God of the New Testament, that is just a God of wrath. But this is a God of compassion, of love, of giving. The next word or the next name for him is Razak, meaning the sustainer or the provider. This is showing a God of love. He is Al-Musawir, meaning the fashioner or the shaper of beauty. Al-Khaliq, meaning the maker. He shapes and forms and makes human beings and everything in creation. He is Al-Qawi, meaning the most strong. And he is Al-Fatir. This is another name that we can generate from this talk, meaning he is the originator, the innovator from nothing. There is no being that we know of that can create something from nothing except God. The other word is Al-Barir, meaning the evolver. And the last one that I wanted to articulate is what is on my shirt here. God, the irresistible. The word, I'm sure you are familiar with it, is Al-Jabbar. You are familiar with it from the name Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Abdul-Jabbar meaning the servant of Jabbar, of Al-Jabbar. Al-Jabbar means the irresistible, the compelling. He is so compelling that you cannot deny him. This is the reason that I'm giving this talk. This is the reason that every prophet came and said that there is one God and you need to heed his message. Prophets came giving glad tidings and giving warnings. A glad tiding that there is a God that cares for you and wants you to be as righteous as you possibly can. But those who are not righteous, you will be held accountable for all that you do in this life. Hopefully, I have been able to provide some information that is either instructive or something that is a reminder to be always conscious of God, of the first cause, of the creator, of the sustainer, of the evolver, of the strongest, of the mighty God. All right, y'all. Assalamu alaikum. Last thing I wanted to say is we are still fighting for our rights. So always continue to fight. Don't give up. A couple of weeks ago, I said that anger causes us to continue, but ultimately anger and passion will dissipate. You can't be angry, you can't be mad for forever. The way that you can make change is to organize, to have a group of people who are like-minded, who move you in a constant direction. So use this anger, use this frustration, use this momentum to build organizations towards the goal that you want to seek. If you decide you are a revolutionary and you want to change things, get with those who are revolutionaries. If you want to repatriate, if you want to leave and go back to Africa, get with those people who want to do that. If you are a reformer and you want to change and you want to correct the system that you are in, get with people who are in Assalamu alaikum, Sister Nadia, who are like-minded, and do that. Don't do nothing. Don't wait for LeBron James. Don't wait for Kyrie Irving or whomever to make changes. As I said on Facebook, none of those people live in the 757 or live in the area you live in. Their first goal, their first objective is to help the people that are around them. Allah says in the Quran, save yourself and your family. So the people around you, this is our goal, this is our obligation to save ourselves. Everything that we know that we can use to benefit our community, to avoid, to stop police brutality. We do everything in our power to make this a change, to make this change happen. We individually have power, and collectively, then our power is even stronger. So organize, get with an organization, create your own organization. As I said, there's a person who's right across the street from me who started their own African studies school. Just one day a week can change a child forever. Forever. If they understand their history and the history of humankind, then they will never feel inferior. I was talking to my niece about Frederick Douglass. And anybody, if you have the opportunity, Frederick Douglass' narrative is a great book to read. It is very short, but it is very powerful. He had slavers who were pretty wealthy, and they gave him a lot of food, which is very uncommon in slavery during the time of slavery. They normally ate the scraps and they ate very little, but he was fortunate enough to have an abundance of food. And if you realize it, most of the people who were not white, who were not black, most of the white population didn't own slaves. Most of them were poor. So he was able to use the food that he had. He would take it from his slaver and give it to them. And they would teach him words and teach him how to read and write. So he said he exchanged the bread of nutrients for the bread of knowledge. And ultimately, he was able to free himself. After he learned how to read and write, he knew that anybody with knowledge will realize that they should never be enslaved. So from then on, he fought to get out of slavery. He fought his slave master, and ultimately, he escaped slavery. So with knowledge, we will always begin to free ourselves, whether it is physical slavery or mental slavery. You are in bondage in your mind. So if you have knowledge, if you read write, articulate, research, go to other people who have knowledge and exchange those ideas, you can always break free. Assalamu alaikum. Peace to everyone. I wish peace to everyone. I hope everyone gets the peace of God. Assalamu alaikum.